Hello and welcome back to the W Basketball Show. And hello and welcome back to the W Basketball Show, Cayla George. Cayla, how are you today?
Hey mate, I'm good. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, thanks for coming back on. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Last time it was Happy Halloween, Happy Pearl's birthday, Happy WNBA Championship.
Yeah, wow.
How are you going? How do you personally go in this week between Christmas and New Year's?
It's an interesting question because it does feel a bit random, like what day is it? What time is it? Who am I? What am I doing? But I guess that's kind of the time of year for everyone. But sometimes it can feel like that in October. So I
Mm,
guess in season when we're, on the road a lot, in particular, it can feel a bit, how are you? But yeah, it is just a bit random. But thankfully, we've got some games to keep us in routine and some training sessions to stay sharp. So I'm looking forward to hitting the court on Monday because we had a pretty ordinary loss right before the break, which we had to stew on this whole Christmas. But it's all right because that's just part of the gig.
yeah, for sure. I can't remember if it was in my episode with you or with Tess Magin that talking about getting a win before going into a break.
Yeah.
Um, and I think yeah, either you or Tess were speaking about how that's really hard on especially the younger players. But as your career goes on, does that get a little easier to deal with, or is it still just a sour?
No, it's still sour. I think in our team huddle, I was like, Merry effing Christmas. Like, I was so angry after we lost. I dropped an F bomb in there. But yeah, look, I think it was a bit self inflicted. Even watching a bit of video today on that game, I was like, oh gosh, like, things we can do better and things that, a bit self inflicted, like I said. But, credit to Adelaide, they executed offensively down the stretch really well. And yeah, turned the game around with a few minutes to go, which was much to our disgust,
Mhm.
but all good. Win, someone loses.
Yeah, this season especially, man. Like Adelaide, what they were like 2-6 or something, but you've seen firsthand their starting lineup is elite.
Yeah,
So yeah, you catch them on a bad day, and yeah, I don't have to tell you how the
exactly.
game
Yeah.
ends. What do you feel like has to change in the last 11 games of the season, or what'll be like crucial for you and the Flames?
I think for us, just we've shown patches of really high quality Flames basketball, and then we show patches of oh my gosh, have we just started playing basketball? And so I think it's sorry, do you know what's hilarious? I've got my phone leaning on the olive oil, and my husband needs it because he's cooking some pumpkins. So grab it. It's very authentic this time. Oh, there we go. Got the Frank Green in. Yeah, take the oil the pumpkin. Thank you, sir. So I think for us the in between is too big. So we need to have games where we do play not as good as our best games, but it's just not as terrible as we are right now. I think we need to have that gap be a lot shorter so that when we do have a bad shooting night, our defense can, pull through and win us games still, or we've still got, a baseline that's not so far from our best. So I think just finding the consistency in that and just, being consistent with that and having, the energy to finish off the season in a really consistent way, I think will be crucial.
Okay, cool. So there might be one theme there that's
You want me to say it again? Consistency.
before I jump on to my next question, what's for dinner?
Oh, so I put some meat out for the dogs, and then I put some sausage. I don't eat meat, but
Mm.
I've got a bunch of family still here, so I put 2 crates of sausages out, and the son kind of cooked them. So I was like, oh sugar, I might have to cook
Uh,
them now. So I whipped up some sausages, so they're ready on some paper towel to soak up the extra oil. My husband's going to cook some roast pumpkin. We're just kind of cooking what we've got. We were like, what do we do? What do we do? Big group. We'll cook some rice, pumpkin with some gravy. I'll do some garlic corn.
oh, nice.
Yeah, we have some corn on the cob here.
Beautiful.
And so yeah, and then I don't know, bit of salt and pepper, maybe some tomato sauce. I don't know, these young cats, they put some sauce on everything. Even my husband sometimes beautiful pasta sauce up, tomato sauce on top, so bloody ruins it. But
I son it.
no. So no, a bit of everything, bit of a just whatever we've got, just make it work.
Yeah, fusion, sun-dried snags and garlic corn. Um, it also can't be unnoticed or unmentioned that you've been missing a couple of your wings lately in Michaela Roof and Emma Clark. And I feel like last season there was a bit of inconsistency and availability for Tess, and Shanice Swain, who would have played like a handful of games last year.
Mm.
As a big, what's the difference between missing that depth and talent in the backcourt and missing that depth and talent on the wings?
Yeah, that's a very interesting question. So I think just the experience that Michaela has as my sister big, it can be quite challenging with younger players to find that consistency to get in the right spots. Michaela and I for 8 years have been like absolute enemies and have hated playing against each other. I even spoke to her dad the other day because we're besties now. So I spoke to her dad the other day and he's like, "Oh, Cayla George, I never used to like you." I was like, "Oh, fantastic. Yeah, I've had some great battles against your daughter, great battles. We, punched on. I think I broke her finger one year when she played for Caps and she tripped on my foot or something, or tripped on Sykes's foot because she was holding my arm. So I flung her off me and she fell. It's her own fault. But anyway, so having Michaela as that sister being someone that like we think very similar. We're both very experienced, and she'll love it if I say this. She went to Stanford, so she's really smart. So we always mock her about that, but she is quite an intelligent human. And she reads the game very similar to me. So we haven't played a lick of basketball together. But since we've been on the same team together, it's been such a breath of fresh air to like have someone that looks to pass to me in the spaces that I look to pass to other people. Like she really does read the game quite similar to me. So to have her missing in my mind has been a little bit challenging because she's just a really great creator of a great facilitator. Sorry. So and I like to facilitate too, but in particular, like when she's on the floor, we can facilitate to each other, and we kind of saw that in the first few rounds while she was playing. We'd get a lot of high-low looks and things like that, and she'd kick it to me, to the corner three and things like that from the elbow. So like we just had a really nice thing going. So it's been a little challenging as she's quite a good facilitator, and then when you miss someone like a Tess or the experienced guards who can really settle a game and really just steady the ship, it does have a big impact. And I don't know what I would prefer to miss. You obviously don't want to miss anyone, but right now, that's a really tough call to make, so I'm not going to make it. Sorry about it. But both are very important when you've got that experience to really allow you to get over the line in games, because you just can steady the ship. And we saw Tess at the Olympics do that multiple times where she came on, used her experience. Yeah, I just see a T-shirt there repping that. She came in and steadied the ship and really played a great captain's Olympics and got us over to the bronze medal. And so missing her last year in a lot of those games it was hard. And then getting her back in the fold, and it's never easy, but she's just the utmost professional, and she gave it her all when she was able to, and I love playing with her throughout her entire career. I was very blessed to play with her a lot, and we grew up together, and I was able to be on the floor with her for a lot of my career, which was fantastic. But to answer your question after beating around the bush there, either one is not great to not have.
Yes, of course. I can't wait to talk about the opals in the Olympics this year. And there was that awesome shot after the game where Tess jumped onto you. Yeah. I was actually right here when I saw that.
Oh,
happen.
really?
Yeah, I was rewatching the highlights as well today because I was trying to remember when, spoiler alert, you hit a few of those big shots. It was against France, if you don't remember.
Yeah, I remember.
And I was so tense watching the highlights, man. I was like, stop, cut. Oh, what's that? Don't give me that one there. Like, good shot. Oh, thank God. And I was like, all right, I know the outcome, man. But just back on the Flames for a second. Exactly 3 weeks ago, you were playing against the Perth Lynx, where Shanice Swain's 20 points, including 4 threes, 7 boards, 5 assists, and 3 steals, was dwarfed by your 28 points, including 5 threes, 14 boards, and 3 blocks. Just you individually, before I get on to the two of you, could you give us a glimpse into the state of mind of what it's like to have a game that good and like what's going into it?
I think going into it, I was told a few days out that I was 14 points away from hitting 5,000. I was like, oh, that's cool. Like, it's not really something that was on my goal list to reach that, but it's certainly like a milestone that's like quite rare. And I was pretty excited I knew I was going to reach it at some point. Well, I'd hope so. 14 points, like, I'm averaging, I think 15 and 10. So I was like, oh, surely, at some point, even if I have a Barry Crocker shocker, like I'm going to maybe the next game. But then I was like, I'd want to do it at home. So then I was a bit anxious about, oh gosh, I better use this as extra motivation just to really come out strong. And that was the last game Rufy played in, and she found me on that first bucket and a really nice lob pass there over a really athletic Letitia Amaher. And so I was like, all right, good way to start. Nice little reverse laps. It's just ease into the game. And then from there, I was just really ultra focused to just help us get over the line and beat a really talented Perth Lynx and get us on a bit of a roll. I think this is our second win in a row. So watch out. We're about to cut the net. And then we go to Townsville a couple of games later and just really get told what for. So that was humbling. But no, I definitely went into that game just like really ready to do whatever it took to help my team, as always. But a bit of extra motivation to just get over the line. I didn't want to like drag out now she's 2 points away. Now she's like, I just wanted to get it done. Because it's never about me. It's always about the team. But it was just nice to have a little individual accolade. I've been around a long time. And so there's a lot of these random like milestone things coming up last year and this year's like, just kind of shows me have been around a long time and I'm getting a bit old, but I still feel like I'm playing really good basketball, even though my recovery and my warm-up looks a little different now. I can't just get away with a couple of leg swings anymore. I've got to really stretch the old bones. But once I'm warm, I'm raring to go and I don't feel like I'm slowing down. So post-game, those strengths, the Normatex. But yeah, look, I felt pretty good and I'm glad I was able to get it done in that game. And I was happy that we got that big win against Perth and we used that momentum into our next game as well. But like I said, the game after that, not so much. But a 3-game winning streak, we'll take it.
Yeah. As you said before, that key to the rest of the season is consistency. And Perth like it's crazy good this season. Congrats on 5,000 points. You're one of 3 or one of 4? I really should have picked this up. How's that feel, man? You're one of 4 people ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's like I said, individual accolades like that I never really strive for. But when I hit them, like I said, a few days, I was like, oh, cool. All right. Well, let's see if we can do it then. Because I had Under Armour and the Sydney Flames are all like, hey, here's the graphics we're going to use. Are you okay with this? I better bloody hit it. Then everyone's waiting to post these bloody graphics that I've said okay to. So I might as well just do it. So that was kind of cool. Just, a lot of hard work over the last couple of decades to do what I've done and a lot of sacrifice and it's just a nice little individual reward that doesn't mean a whole lot to the team in terms of like our overall team success, but just a little reminder for me and my family, a time for me to be able to say thank you to them and to remind myself that hey, you're doing all right, kid.
Yeah,
you're all right.
Yeah, there wasn't the carry on like when LeBron broke the points record.
Oh no, I didn't hold the paper up, and
I
didn't even get the game ball. maybe we don't have enough balls. We can't do that. I should have got a game ball, but that's all right. Maybe next year. Maybe if I break maybe if I hit another 5,000, maybe I'll get it.
Sounds good.
Maybe 10,000 is the number. You get a game ball.
Back to that game against Perth. When you and another teammate are cooking like that, what's the dynamic like when you're just both producing at the same time?
So who was that? Sorry, for Shanice and I?
Yeah.
So I think, Shanice is such a young talent and she's playing really well. And I think just, working off each other and, the pick and roll, they have to pick their poison. Do they go over her? Do they go under? Can she get to the basket? Can she, she's dynamic from the 3. If they guard that, can I roll? Can I slip? Like we've got so many options and we read each other quite well. And so it's fun to play with, because she can really light it up. So as we've seen in multiple games this year. So it's fun to play with and she's quite dynamic. And like I said, you've got to pick your poison as defenders on what you try and stop and you can't stop everything, I guess. So yeah, it is fun to play with her, and I'm really proud of her for coming out and having a solid season as she is. And I just hope that she can. This isn't her ceiling; like she's got a lot more ceilings to go through. I think she can potentially be another great Opal if she wants to be. But I think that's up to her and what level she wants to get to. Because I think her raw talent can take her a long way.
Yeah. Watching her in person, I saw when you guys visited Southside. Watching her in person, like she's just got a way of moving that I haven't seen anyone in the WNBA, at least in person. She's got a real
feel for it. She's just very natural, raw kind of basketball IQ. She's quite savvy in how she operates. It's just maturing with the game and finding consistency at both ends of the floor for her. I think will be huge and moving forward. Just how high does she want to go? Does she want to be one of the best guards in Australia? Does she want to be one of the best guards in the WNBA? Does she want to go to the Olympics? What does she want to do? And I think all of that applies. And I think, it's really up to her because she's just got such a high level of talent. It's really up to her how far she goes.
I guess, this applies to you as well. But in terms of imparting wisdom to her, How much did advice help you throughout your career, and how much, or how does it compare to just living through the experience?
I think advice is really good at certain times, of course, and from the right people. And I think living through experience is really great as well. Like I think both are essential to just paving your way through your career. I think you need to have both, but you also need to discern like what advice you take on, because sometimes advice comes from all which way, and then you've got your social media stuff that people have their 2 cents as well, so you've got to really discern like what you want to listen to, and obviously keep your circle quite small when it comes to advice that you actually take on board, and people that you really trust. And you don't want people blowing smoke your whole career. You want people that give you, like my husband after games, I'll be like, hey, how did I play? Like, you were shit here, defense was shit on that play, you should have shot that there, that shot looked terrible, or hey, that was all right, oh yeah, you played pretty well. Like he's pretty good at like just keeping me really grounded. And I mean, he will tell me when I've played good as well, which is nice. But a lot of times he'll like critique me first, which is fine, because keeps, like I said, keeps me really grounded. And although sometimes it's hard to hear, but it's good for me.
Yeah, last year you spoke about having that perspective away from basketball, especially crediting Pearl. Yeah, you even mentioned, you got that triple double on 4 hours of sleep.
Yeah, crazy.
How had that continued over the last year while she was a 1-year-old?
So I think she was really easy as a newborn, because she just would like eat, sleep and poo. But now she's like a toddler and has attitude and sass, and like just screams randomly sometimes, and has to have chocolate when we're in Coles, or she'll scream the whole shop down. And my husband will say that's my fault because I'm giving her chocolate too early. But hey, I'll take that on, because like chocolate's delicious. I eat it. Why would you not want to try it? Yep. Anyways, and everything in moderation, right? But no, she's the same thing. Like it's definitely harder as she's getting older, just because she's more mobile. Even for my husband at games and stuff, like she can't just sit there all game. She wants to move around. She wants to play or watch the iPad or whatever it is. So it just gets a little bit more complex as she gets older, but it's still the same for me. Like I love watching her up in the stand. She cheers for me now. She says, "Go mama." Like she claps. She's like, it's really fun to like have that dynamic of just knowing that she can actually see me on the court or on the screen. Or sometimes, like we had a home game not long ago. Actually, it was the Perth game, the one where I hit the record. And Cayla and Pearl, like it was kind of like I don't know if Pearl was feeling great or Cayla or something, or they just wanted it. They were tired. They wanted to stay. And I was like, oh, all good. I was already feeling anxious for the game. It's like, you just stay. I'll just deal with the game and I'll come back. It's not a problem. Then I don't have to worry about you being there and like where you're sitting or whatever. So she saw me on the screen. She was cheering, and so it's that kind of thing that like gets me motivated, because it's great, right?
Yeah.
The NBA moves so quickly these days, it's hard to keep up. Shams and Woj are breaking stories left and right, but the Quick Time Out is right there with them to keep you informed on the latest NBA news. Stop in and let us break it down as it happens. Find the Quick Time Out on the Deep 2 Podcast Network.
Back to that perspective and keeping perspective. Yeah. How do you help younger players keep perspective and get away from basketball? And then, touching on those younger players from before, who are the young players that you've seen throughout your career that have been able to do this kind of ahead of schedule?
Well, Izzy Bourlays is the first one that comes to mind. Obviously, my Olympic teammate. This is for second or third season in the WNBL. Second, I think. Second?
Third. It's got to be third.
Third.
Yeah.
Third. Yep. And she's just incredible. She's got so much poise. And when you say ahead of time, like, I think she's just like a generational talent where it was going to be her time early anyway. Ezzy, same thing. I put her in the same category as an Ezzy, different positions, but like she's just, my husband just put whipped cream everywhere. Fantastic. Yes. So yeah, those two come to mind straight away, just as absolutely generational talents and just really good humans. And so just watching them develop over time. I got to play with Ezzy for 4 or 5 years at Boomers, and then to see her blossom into like one of the best defenders in the world, one of the best players of the world, has been really exciting. And she's just still the most humble person, and I have high expectations for Izzy as well. And she is such a beautiful human as well, and wants to absorb all the information. Sometimes kids these days can be a little bit entitled and roll their eyes, know everything already. But those two, and Jade Melbourne, oh my gosh, how could I fit Jadey puts? Like same thing, just beautiful humans, want to learn, have great respect for the people that have come before them, more experienced players, can have a good joke, great sense of humor, which is what it's all about. Because the Opals, we have a pretty crazy group. Like, we know when to work hard, but we joke around a lot. And so, you know, that keeps us, with all the pressure that's going on, you've got to kind of have a bit of, you know, jokey time. And these young cats, you know, they learn real quick that we're just a bunch of clowns, but we also know how to switch on. But those three amazing humans first, and then it's actually really exciting to see, you know, Jado doing anything in the WNBA second year in a row after being traded in the training camp time. And then Izzy's probably going to go over next year, and I'm looking forward to seeing how she goes. I think, you know, she showed against USA at the Olympics what she's capable of, and again, for such a young girl, she's so poised on the floor. You know, it probably took her a few games at the Olympics to settle in, but I don't think people can really understand the magnitude of what it feels like to be at the Olympics, to see the Olympic rings around everywhere, to see the other athletes walking around the village. You're seeing like Simone Biles, you're seeing other NBA players, you see like the magnitude. When you really think about it in the moment, it can be quite overwhelming. I remember in Rio, my overwhelming moment, and I kind of reminded everyone before the Olympics, we had a team meeting and Sandy asked us with experience, like, share some stuff. And I said, well, my Olympic moment, they say you have a moment, was in Rio. It was right before we had our first game versus Brazil, so the crowd was nuts. And so our coach was doing the team talk, and I just started crying in our team talk. I was like, oh my gosh, Cayla, get your shit together. And that was my Olympic moment. I just was like so overwhelmed with the magnitude. We're about to run out to a full Brazilian crowd to play Brazil in Rio for my first Olympics. And it was nuts. We ended up winning by 20, but it was close, I'm pretty sure. Like, it was a battle. And they're quite physical and they're quite an emotional team. So, like, you know, you drop a bobby pin, they're cheering. Like, there's a lot going on. We knew we were good enough to beat them, but you just have to overcome the nerves. You have to overcome the pressure that you put on yourself, the pressure from outside sources. You're at the Olympics. You kind of have to put all of it aside and bring it down to just being a game that you've played and trained for hundreds or thousands of times. And if you don't do that, it can be debilitating. So I think Izzy, although it probably took her a couple of games to settle into the Olympics, once she did settle in, it was like, oh, here we go, folks. She was unreal. And Jado to have to step up into that starting role after Spider went down, I think she did a phenomenal job. And obviously we saw Ezzy. She probably didn't start the Olympics, you know, with the Ezzy that we know she can be, but she certainly finished it with the Ezzy that we know she is. And that was freaking phenomenal. And it was, I mean, she's got the highest efficiency game at an Olympics ever. So incredible game, that last one that she had. And essentially we don't have that medal without her. That was a huge game by her.
Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the Opal. So, I mean, we have been, but and back to Brazil earlier this year. Can't believe the OQT was this year. Wow.
Crazy. Hey, in Brazil, in Belém, that was wild.
Yeah.
Even travel there was wild.
Yeah. Well, when you touched down, you guys were greeted with like an outdoor court or like a
yeah. We had to train on this outdoor court. It had a roof.
What was going on there?
Like, I don't know. I'm not sure why we were sent there, but we qualified and we got out of there. There was like cats on the court and stuff. I was like, well, they haven't used this stadium in years, so this is their home. We're invading. I called it the Pussy Palace because there was all these cats in it. So I was like, well, we're invading their home. They haven't used this court in years. And there was like, twice live in game, there was a cat that ran across the bench or on the court or something. I was like, oh my gosh, in a FIBA game, Olympic qualifying tournament, we got cats going on. I was like, oh, fights outside. I was like, oh, this is nuts.
How good, man. And since we last spoke, in that Brazil game, well, I love a big shot and so do you, but
don't mind one.
The only difference is I'm usually in bed in a group chat sending like a message with a typo or like a GIF or a meme or an emoji, and you're the one hitting it in front of 20,000 people. What goes into that? All right, before taking a big shot, what prepares you for that, like both as a basketball player and as a person? Like what gets you into that state of mind before you take that shot?
Yeah, that's a really great question. And it's not something that I really have put down to like, well, this is what gets me ready. I just put it down to I've taken thousands of shots when I'm in rhythm and I'm focused and don't be scared to take the shot. And I thrive off those big shots with the Opals. You know, for the I think since I've been in the Opals program, I've hit pretty decent clutch shots at the right time from the 3-point line. And I thrive off that. I love that. But it's not something that I was like, well, this is what I'm going to do. It just has happened that way. I've been given the ball in opportunities to hit these big shots, and I come through with the goods, which is exciting because, you know, I want to win for my country, I want for the team, for my, like, you know, it's fun, but I actually can't put it down to like, oh yeah, like I'm just like, I want those shots. It's just the ball's in my hand. I'm a professional basketball player. Shoot the rock.
Yeah.
I could have missed the last 3 and I'm still shooting that 4th one if it means we're up by 3. You know what I mean? With a couple minutes to go. So I just try and just rely on my experience and be confident in those shots, and know that my teammates over the years are like, we want you to be taking those shots because we know you're good for it. And so I just feel like my teammates have confidence in me. There was one in particular in 2018 at the World Cup. We were playing Spain. In Spain, again, there was 6,500 people booing us. We were in the semi-final to get into the gold medal game, and I hit a big 3 down the stretch. And if you watch back on the footage, the entire bench, Jenna, Tess, the entire bench had stood up already as I'd caught the ball, and they were already cheering for the shot, which was really exciting. I didn't realize that till like later, looking back on footage. It's like, oh shit, they trusted that I was going to hit it that much. They were already cheering and standing up, like, you know, or whatever they were doing before I'd even released the ball. So that was like, just, I mean, when you know your teammates are confident in your ability, that goes a long way in like shooting the rock with confidence in the big moments.
Well, I think I figured out what it is. Big shot in Spain against Spain, big shot in Brazil against Brazil, 2 huge shots in France against France.
That actually might be what it is.
I think that's what it is.
Home nation.
Take this home. And then what's the aftermath after those big shots? Like, first of all, when you've just hit it, and then like maybe the months or years after it when you reflect on those big moments.
Reflection, that's a funny thing, because I mean, I'm starting to reflect a little bit more now, but especially since the medal. But you know, feedback over the years of even like speaking to, you know, a few people from Basketball Australia, there was like, oh, you know, you just so clap so boy. I'm like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah. That's what maybe I'm known for a little bit. But in my mind, I don't, like I said, I don't think anything of it. So I'm just in those moments. I have the rock, like, what it's counting down at, the shot clock's about to expire, like, just get it up, you know. And it doesn't always pay off, but it's, you know, the last chunk of big events, it's kind of paid off a little bit, which, you know, as long as we're winning, I couldn't give 2 hoots who takes that shot. So yeah, I think it's a cool thing to reflect on that, and to have had such a really cool impact on the Opal's legacy. And that's kind of what I'll take away. I just wanted to come in and you know, help the Opals win medals. And I've been able to win 4 across major events, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, 4. And so, I mean, I haven't announced my retirement from the Opal, so I could win more. I'm not sure. Who knows? But yeah, I just wanted to make sure I did everything that I could to help us be successful. And I think, you know, I can look back and say, well, yeah, there was, you know, some big shots hit, and I think I was really able to cement the Opal's legacy along with my legacy as an Opal.
How good, man. So it's so cool that you've won so many medals with the Opals that you don't know the exact number. I think it's 4.
Well, I know it's 1 Olympic though. 3 World Cup medals, yeah.
Since we last,
3 bronze and a silver, yeah.
Yeah, when we last spoke, you said this is actually the question I've been thinking of when I first got in contact with Courtney. But when we last spoke, you said the only thing you hadn't won was an Olympic medal, and that was the only thing you wanted to add to the trophy cabinet. So just first of all, initial thoughts and feelings, how have they progressed over the last few months?
Yeah, so the piece that I felt in the months after that it's been quite amazing. I never knew a piece like that in my entire career, because it's always on to the next thing. Then you know, there's the pressure for the next thing or the performance or whatever is next. It's always something. But the piece I felt was like, so it was, I was like, is this what it's like? Is this what it's like to live with peace and no anxiety or pressure or anything? This is unreal. So, yeah, my husband and I, we had time up on Thursday Island. We had time up with my family in Cairns. We had a couple of weddings in Queensland. Like, it was just the best time to reflect, to enjoy, you know, the medal, and to spend it with, you know, my family, my close friends. And, yeah, I still feel that peace to this day. I still feel, you know, regardless of what happens and regardless of what my basketball future looks like and how long I play for, do I try and go for another Olympics? Do I try and become a 4-time Olympian? It's not off the shelf. Like, why not? My body feels really good if I'm doing the right things and I'm still playing consistent good basketball. I haven't ruled it out, but if I don't get to do any of that, I've got so much peace with what I've been able to achieve. So either way, I'm okay. But right now I'm still playing good basketball. So like, why would I think about anything other than just like keep on keeping on, you know? Mentally it's a lot because I've been doing this thing for a long time and I've got a family and I've got stuff I want to do like after basketball and stuff I want to do before I finish playing to, you know, help my life after basketball. So yeah, it's a heavy question because it's quite, you know, there's a lot going on in that, but I do feel a sense of peace regardless of what happens here on out. I have completed all of my goals and anything from here on out is a bonus.
Awesome, man. I'm really excited to talk about all that and the peace and what's next and the motivations, but let's just hold on to that anxiety for a second.
Yeah, right.
At the end of the third quarter and the start of the fourth quarter, there's a player by the name of Julie Van Loo who just did not stop missing three-pointers. What was the feeling among the team when she just kept hitting three after three? I feel like we were playing better than them, but it just felt like she might have been able to put them on her back.
I never thought we were going to lose. There was not for 1 second I thought we were going to lose. It was more just like, oh, piss off. Like, enough now. It's not yours to win. Even though in Tokyo they lost the bronze medal game to France. So Belgium, like, have been stung at 2 Olympics in a row, same kind of scenario. But in my mind, I was like, that's not happening. That's not the way the story is happening today. But I was just annoyed. Like, stop it. You're making it too stressful. That's all I remember thinking. Oh, just piss off. Maybe it was a bit more expletive than that. But I was just like, oh, neck off.
Yeah.
Like, this is not your game today. There's nothing that's aligning with you guys winning. It's all us. Sorry. I'm not sorry.
Okay, cool. That
was where my head was at. And honestly, thankfully, we won because I don't know if my emotions would have been prepared for losing. I don't even know if I would have played basketball again. I would have been pretty emotional. I don't know where my head would have been at. I wasn't prepared to not win that. So thankfully it pulled through for my health, my mental health, because I'm just not sure. I'm not sure I would have coped very well. I mean, I'm sure I would have figured it out, and it would not have been as much peace as I'm talking about for sure. So thankfully it all kind of worked.
Okay, awesome. Now back to the peace. What have you learned about Olympic medalists since becoming an Olympic medalist?
What have I learned? That it's a really exclusive group. And it's so funny that I hadn't really thought about the medal and being a medalist until you just said that then for a while, because like you're kind of on to the next thing as an athlete. So now I'm in season. So like hadn't thought about the medal in a while, which is weird. It's weird, but I'm an Olympic medalist.
Yeah,
and no one can ever take that away from me. You know what I mean? Like, so it's a really exclusive group. And so I actually, the other week when I was on the road trip, watched Simone Biles' doco Rising. And she talks about no matter what happens for the rest of her life, and very different sports, but I could definitely empathize with when she was saying there will be nothing will quite compare to the anxiety and the pressure you put on yourself at the Olympic Games or in big moments like that. Like the nerves, the pressure, like everything just compiled onto your back, and you've got to figure it out to perform. And luckily I'm in a team sport. She's got to do that on her own. I mean, she's in a team with her gymnastics, but she performs on her own. But I could empathize with that because I'm not sure anything in life will really compare to how you feel walking out onto the Olympic floor. Like, it's wild. Like, it's such a crazy experience, and I just don't know that anything will ever match that in terms of just like the pressure, the anxiety, the nerves, and then the overwhelming wave of just hitting that goal and just fulfilling that dream. Like, I'm just not sure I'll ever get that again if I like a life after basketball, you know. So I could definitely empathize when Simone said that.
So I guess we'll see you in 2028 then.
Well, maybe just for another hit of good feelings, good vibes.
Yeah, now that trophy cabinet is just overflowing and it's just bursting at the hinges, what are your motivations?
Pearl really motivates me. I'm motivated by happiness, what brings me joy, my family. So that really hasn't changed a whole lot, but I don't have like my goal list to look back and be like, oh, I've got to complete this. Like, everything's done. Wild. I don't say that lightly.
Yeah.
Like all the little goals are done,
Mm.
and the big ones.
Yeah.
So everything is just a bonus from here on out. So like, there's still pressure, but it's just not as overwhelming with anxiety now.
Mm.
You know? So it's nice. It's a fun state to be in.
Mm.
Oh, my dog's tail just got stepped on. Not a problem. He's all right.
Perfect. On those goals, are these goals that you set ahead of your career, or did they develop as your career
When I was a
progressed?
teenager, I was like, this is what I want to do. Did I speak to you about them last year?
Yeah.
Do you want me to talk about them again?
Yeah. Shit.
Yeah. So
They're done now.
I wanted to play in Australia in the WNBL, win championships. I wanted to play in the WNBA. The championship was a bonus. I wanted to play in Europe. I won a Hungarian championship over there. I played in the Euro Cup and in the Euro League. So one championship in Europe in Hungary. Asia was a bonus. I didn't really have any intention of playing in Asia, but won a Taiwanese championship earlier this year. So kind of covers. Yeah. Yeah, that was also this year in May. Isn't that crazy? So that was a really cool experience. I wanted to represent the Opals at Worlds and Olympics and win medals. I've been able to do that. And so that kind of covers everything because I've won championships in a lot of different countries, won medals at multiple events. Yeah, and so in the individual accolades, it was never really like I wasn't like I need to win MVP here, but all those were just bonuses. But it was more like the Opals ones were big for me, just to win medals and to continue the Opals legacy. So, like I said, to be able to remain a part of that strong Opals legacy of success and podium finishes is really important. And to have a big part of the game results and big hitting shots is also really cool. I don't take that lightly.
How awesome, man! What a career. When you set those goals, is that kind of before or after you realized you could make a career in basketball?
I think it was like right before I went to the AIS, so I might have been like 14 or 15. Yeah.
Oh my God. What's that feeling, man? You're looking back on the last...
So 20 years later, I'm 35.
Yeah.
I'm sitting here saying I've ticked off all of my goals, and it has not come without so many tears and so much hard work. It's actually ridiculous. Like my body, I'm just... some of the 2 or 3 trainings a day. I don't know how I've done some camps over the years, but we all say it and then we all manage to get through it. But it's just part of the gig. You just figure it out. Mentally, physically, you just figure it out. Use the support staff around you.
Yeah. What are some of the memories that kind of stick out? Maybe not some of the big ones, but just some of the ones that are coming to mind right now.
That French game at the Olympics for sure. That was a biggie. That was really fun. The Spain game at the World Cup, getting selected for my first Olympics, walking into the room, and I actually couldn't breathe. I was crying so hard. I hadn't even been told anything yet. My eyes were up just thinking about it. I sat down and I was like, like I couldn't even breathe before he even said you're going. And then I think I called Cayla first, mum, my dad, and just was like sobbing for like an hour. So that was the memory that sticks with me. There's some negative ones too about, just when I didn't make the World Cup team in 2014, but then I ended up making that team. A few months later, I was brought back into the squad and then I've been on the team ever since. So that was like a tough time then. But we'll just talk about the highlights. Yeah. But a big highlight in my life was obviously Pearl, and then moving forward, just having her around for all the big events, and winning the bronze on home soil in Sydney was crazy. It was crazy.
Yeah, that was awesome. That was so much fun, man. I feel like following on from you bringing up Pearl, this question kind of feels a bit silly, but when did you come to the realization that your profession was sport and you had the role of an athlete? Like, how long into your career?
So now? No, I think when I got to change my profession on my Instagram bio a few years ago to athlete, I was like, I guess that is my profession. That's probably when. I never really thought of it like that. I just kind of, it's always just been a blessing to be able to get money to do this. I never really see it as a job. The only time I did see it as a job actually was my year in Hungary when I was playing in soccer run. I was like, oh my gosh, I want to go home so bad. I hate it here. I was having a miserable time. You just miss home a lot, but I managed to get through it. I was never going to let my teammates down and leave and quit on them. So I just stuck it out. And because I think that was when I was away for a whole year, because I went straight to Phoenix. It was a long year. But yeah, that was one time I was like, oh, this is such a job. Just get your money and get out, get your money and get out. But other than that, it's really been quite a fun way to put money in my pocket.
Yeah, for sure. How'd you like living in Hungary?
Yeah, it was all right. Sopron's like on the border of Austria, so we could like go over to Vienna a fair bit. It was like 45 minutes away. There's a big shopping mall where we used to go a fair bit. But yeah, like it was all right. Not bad.
Did you ever go to the thermal baths in Budapest?
Nah, never.
Oh my God, man. No wonder you didn't like it.
Well, it was just like cold. I would miss my family. My husband wasn't there a whole lot, like just for small months at a time. So like it was just a long season. I did have my dogs.
Yeah.
So
Crucial.
it was just a lot. It was
Crucial
a lot
stuff.
Yeah. It was right after Rio Olympics, and then I went straight to the WNBA. So I was away for like a year. So it was yuck.
There you go. Cayla, thank you so much for coming back on the W. Super appreciated. Another banger. Merry Christmas. Enjoy
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, all that festive stuff.
Enjoy your mishmash kind of leftovers.
Whatever's going on, we're just cooking it.
Awesome. Thank you.
Legend. See you, mate.
See ya.